Hey, what is up everyone? Welcome back to another video, and today I'm going to be taking a look at what some people consider the ugliest Gundam of all time. And some people would be completely wrong. This right here is the absolutely awesome Turn A Gundam. The Master Grade right here you guys have suggested to me time and time again. It is from back in 2007, so it is a little bit on the older side, but it is a fan favorite definitely. This of course was designed by the late great Sid Mead, who is known for designs on Blade Runner, Aliens, and of course Johnny fucking 5. Anyway, if you do want one of these of your own, I got mine through Buy, link will be down there in the description. Now let's get this almost vintage masterpiece put together. So on busting this out of the box, there really isn't that much plastic inside of this box. It's a little bit on the small side compared to what you would expect for most master grade kits, but the payoff is actually stupendous. What we get in here is 9 runners of plastic, that is full-sized runners, and we've got 3 smaller ones too. That means this isn't one of those kits that's going to be taking up all of your build space. It's easy to get it nice and neat for a simple, pretty quick and straightforward build. As for the extras that are a little bit on the interesting side, we do have the iconic Turn A Gundam mustache. It just comes on one little runner like this. Inside here as well, we've also got 2 little chain links for putting together the Gundam hammer. And in a second little baggie in here, we do have the rest of the chain for that Gundam hammer, a couple of stickers, not that many because this kit is 99% color accurate out of box, and some wacky decals. These are definitely wacky. One thing I will mention about this particular build is the manual is pretty nice. This is a little bit more of an old school manual, and it's something I do miss from more new master grade kits. We do have some nice little details in here, like sketches about the various details and technical aspects of the mobile suit. It is all in Japanese because it does predate translations being in the manuals, but it is pretty cool. I miss when they actually used to do this. That was a very nice touch. Jumping on into the build now, and we're going to be starting from the legs up as I usually do on here. First off, I will mention that the legs are definitely the aspect of the kit that has the most building involved in them. They're extremely detailed and there's a lot going on, especially in this paneling and fin section around in the back. Overall, the articulation is a little bit dated, but not too bad. The bend of the knee is pretty good. We do have an extra shin bend that actually moves the kind of plates in the back of the leg. The foot can move as well. Make sure that this C-clip is clipped in all the way. I will mention a lot of ABS in this build, so it's got a rock solid inner frame. And besides that, we do have a little bit of articulation up at the hip as well, but not a whole lot really. So when it does come to the build of the feet, first it's a peg into this section right here, which clips via a C-clip downwards into this part. This is the beginning of the foot, and that is where you start. You slap 2 bits of grey onto the side like so. You move then to the toe section of the foot, a grey under part, red toes, and white armor up top. A little bit on the hollow side, but it does the job well. Around onto the heel then, again we've got a grey mechanical looking section and 2 plates of white armor. These all attach together now, these 3 pieces. That's the heel via a very strong C-clip and a kind of double C-clip for the toe. Everything is made out of ABS, so these crack together with good grip strength. You now work your way into the upper leg. The right and the left leg build almost like mirror images of each other, so these are 2 completely different builds. You don't build them simultaneously. You start with the thruster veins in the back of the legs. These almost vent looking structures are very nicely designed. They clip and interweave very nicely. They attach then into this darker, wider, should I say light gray section, which has a bunch of sliding mechanisms which will attach into the knee. This is the upper leg, by the way. The hip joint is one of those usual gunpla 3-piece builds. This then attaches down into the upper leg section we built. You pop half of the knee on just like so, the lower leg skeleton like this, and it all sandwiches together in the usual kind of Gundam knee sort of way. Next up, you build the thruster veins for the lower leg. This is made out of 3 pieces. Again, they weave together very, very nicely. You attach these 2 pieces together for the upper ankle articulation. They attach then up into the lower leg. The thruster vein section attaches onto the back, and then it's time to start layering on some of the grey inner frame sections, which will be the foundation for the outer armor. We've got a whole bunch of these. They add on like so, and this right here is essentially the inner frame of the leg. So in usual kind of master grade sort of way, you've got a inner frame running through a lot of this model kit. Actually through the whole thing. Here's an image off of Reddit for those who are curious. From here, it's time to layer on the armor. We've got 2 pieces of thigh armor which attach on simply like so. Again, some very nice pan lining throughout this kit. Some front shin armor, 2 pieces attach onto the rear section of the leg. These actually feel like they barely clip on at all, but when they actually do get added on, they don't show any signs of falling off, at least not yet. You build up the knee out of 2 pieces, red into some white armor, attaches onto the knee like so. There is a rear section that attaches onto the knee here. This is falling off on me, so this will have to be glued. And then we've got two big arcs of armor found on the back of the lower leg, followed by a shin piece which attaches on like so. And there it is. That is pretty much the leg finished. Pop on the foot, and there it is. So like I mentioned, the left and the right leg are slightly different builds from each other, so you will have to build one, then the other, not necessarily building them simultaneously, like some kits. So moving up a little bit further to the Gundam, and this is definitely putting the cock in cockpit because that is exactly where the cockpit is. A very unique waist unit, just like the rest of the mobile suit in general. It's got a very rounded out shape. This is the core fighter on the front, which can basically fly off using the front skirting armors. Side skirts can move around the ball joints, very simple, and the front skirts can move up and down again, simple but effective. Building this up just is two little grey sections that attach together to create the core, a bit of white armor to the back as well as the front. This section for attaching on the side skirtings just comes down like a cuff, followed by a secondary cuff from above. Next up, it's time to build up the side skirts. These are asymmetrical once again. You do have to dip into the stickers. There are only 3 stickers in total in this kit. These are just for blackifying these tiny little sections like so. You just pop them on, and when you actually attach them to the armor that goes on over them, the black section just comes through like so. Otherwise it'd just be, well, in a lighter shade, or should I say darker shade of white. Next up, it's time to build the cockpit. This involves attaching this little section right here. First off, I will mention this is your pilot figure. So your pilot figure isn't actually separate in this kit. It's molded into this little segment. So if you want to paint up Laura, now is the time to do it. This just slots then in under the first part of the cockpit section. You attach the back on like so, and then this little canopy attaches on. This falls off quite often, so I do recommend maybe hitting this with a bit of glue if you don't want to be removing it. Next up, it's building the skirting armors. A bit of light grey attaches into the back of the white front skirting, yellow in from above to get that pop of color, and then you attach these skirtings on via this double peg section just like so. They just pop on easy, and then you've got this little section that attaches in from underneath to add a little bit more detail. Pop that onto the front of the Gundam pants just like so, as well as the side skirts, and this is what you've got. Again, simple, but quite a lot going on in here. So moving on up a little bit further, and we're going to be building the body unit. So if the pilot is actually in the waist, what's inside of the body? Well, sometimes some nukes, sometimes a cow. This is one very, very detailed and extremely unique Gundam torso. Around the back, we've got these little panel sections that lift up or twist into position. These are a little bit on the difficult side to actually align, but once you get the hang of it, it's not so bad. And what we've got is what seem to be some kind of exhaust ports for the nukes or cow in the chest. Flipping around to the front, then we've got some of these panels too. Again, these can be a little bit difficult to open up. You just pop them open just like so. The middle panel can be a little bit awkward and can pop off at times. And this right here is the, well, launch holes for the nukes in the chest. Cow is optional and not in here right now. Now this is one ridiculously unique build right here. You start off with the first little blue flap section just like so. It pops onto a little grey part. This then slides into the side of the torso multi-purpose silo. You do this for both sides, and then they attach onto a central piece. It's a little bit of a balancing act for these lower sections. I actually found it was a little easier to put these side parts onto the middle and then slide the little slidey sections in afterwards. I found that easier. Next up then, we've got the waist joint. This is just 2 pieces that attach together just like so. 2 side sections then attach onto that, locking them onto the actual body. There is quite a few joints here, but you don't really get too much in the lines of articulation out of them when it's finished. We've got some very simple shoulder joints. They just pop on just like so, both sides. Adding a little bit more color into the mix, we've got a red waist section which slides up from underneath, and the blue beginning of the chest slides right on from the front. Now right here, this is a very interesting part of the build. You have a choice here between 2 colors. That is the standard blue cross section for in the middle of the Turn A's chest, or you can choose the white version. Now the difference between these is the blue version is actually the anime accurate version. The white version is the original design version by Sid Mead, which looks like this right here. I went with that because it splits up the colors nicely, and I think it just well, it all around just looks kind of cooler, but just swapping them out when the kit is built is simple enough to do. Next up, we start working around back. This grey panel attaches on with tons of nice detail. These little upper sections right here, these are for basically what's going to be holding on the shoulder armor later on. We've got a yellow clavicle section for around the neck. This part right here actually in the manual looked like it was going to be a nightmare, but it turned out to not be that bad at all. You attach these 5 little segments onto this little central aspect. This is for those exhaust ports in the back. These are the rotating sections. They all attach in just like so. You slap the blue back section onto the Turn A like so, and then this just layers up over it, and then we've got this tiny little piece here for hiding what is essentially where the base adapter section attaches in. Very detailed. So the final part of the build is the chest silos. This is the actual missile version. You can also build a cow holding part if you want to. This is just layering 3 blue flap sections that actually have a bit of articulation to them onto this little piece. The 3 missiles just slot into the silo just like so, and then you pop that part you just built on top, all of which are those opening panels we would have just seen a second ago. There's 2 of these that slide into the left and right hand side of the chest, and there you are, finished. Honestly, this is one unique, very detailed chest Gundam part. After all of that crazy building in the legs and the chest, the arms are surprisingly simple. This is what the arm looks like finished. It's mainly just a bend at the elbow. We do have a nice bit of wrist movement in here, and the hand does have some movable digits, and there is an alternate posed hand included here too. The shoulder in here is pretty simple as well, and as for the build, you start off with the very unique elbow bend. This is a very kind of pressure-based design where it kind of slots into itself just like so. It's kind of hard to explain, but it works out quite well and locks on in. Next up, we've got the wrist joint, which attaches via a ball joint like so. The cuff armor in white attaches on like this, and then you slide the larger forearm armor section down over it all. Next up, we've got another interesting joint aspect. This is the other part of the elbow joint, and it attaches in a very similar way to the lower section. Again, like nothing I have ever seen when it comes to gunpla. The shoulder joint in here is surprisingly normal compared to what we've just seen throughout the rest of the arm, just 3 pieces attached together like so. Next up then in here is the hand, and this does have articulated fingers, but in a kind of old school sort of way. This is neither the worst nor the best. It's somewhere almost between what we would have seen with master grades like the EZ8, which are a little bit on the older side, and then middle year master grades like something like the Exia, where you had the 3 fingers attached together with ball joints. So these are separate, but they are on a kind of cylinder. They can be hard to attach together, so here's a little bit of a tip to do it easily. Wrap the middle finger in blue tack and use that to stick the left and the right finger onto it just like this. This will hold it together so they're not falling all over the place on you. You can hold the blue tack and then slide it into the hand where it needs to go. The index finger and the thumb, these are independent on ball joints, so these will hold themselves in pretty well, and then you just pop the back of the hand on like so, remove the blue tack, and it's all attached together easily. Otherwise, there might be a lot of fumbling and the potential of some lost fingers. The upper arm armor is all one segment. This holds into position with that shoulder joint we built earlier on. It clicks in nice and well. And finally then the hand attaches on via a ball joint. Just like with the arm, these shoulders are very, very simple. First up, you build the shoulder flap, which attaches onto a central aspect from behind like so, and gets sandwiched on with an armor panel. An upper armor panel attaches just above that. This little moving flap aspect attaches onto the inner section of the armor. You pop on this ring section, which goes around the shoulder joint, followed by a big armor panel like so. These both then attach together by a really unique design, almost like a clasp that attaches onto that circular aspect and moves around it while you're actually posing the Gundam. So that's pretty unique. And speaking of unique, this might be the most unique and polarizing Gundam head of all time. This seems to be an either you love it or you hate it head. I would say if you do hate it, build this kit and see if it changes your mind. First off, you reach for what is the third sticker inside of this box, which is once again a black sticker, but it's not the black side you're using, it's the foiled underside. This is for attaching on the back of the clear eye sections like so, because this kit right here, this master grade from 2007, has fully color separated eyes. Hell, that is impressive. The mask section attaches on over this clear part like so, and there you go, color separated eyes with the reflective back layer. The red Gundam eyeliner part attaches on under this. The front and rear sections of the head armor pop on top of that. These 2 pieces which make up the neck attach together just like so. These attach onto the bottom of the head in the way necks do. And then we've got an upper mohawk section which attaches onto the top of the head, a rear mohawk section which attaches into the back, and then the iconic Turn A mustache slaps onto the front of the face just like so. And there we go. The most polarizing, opinion-splitting Gundam head that has ever existed. So when it comes to the final build of the Master Grade Turn A Gundam, it all connects together in the usual kind of way for the most part. Legs pop onto the waist pops onto the body. The only thing that's kind of unique is the way these shoulders attach on. They actually slot on over the shoulder joints and then connect into the back of the torso in some tiny little joints. Then you pop on the arms and the head, and that's pretty much the Turn A finish. Before we take a look at this though, there are some accessories also inside of the box. The first of the accessories in here is the beam rifle. Just like the rest of the, well, suit, this is unique as well. Predominantly in white, you attach 2 red sections onto the front like this. The handle has a point of articulation. You pop it on like so. You build this side little handle section out of 2 grey parts. One slots into the other, and then this just pops into this circular pocket right here. A little white section attaches underneath for a sliding mechanism. The other half then pops on like this. The rear stock section like so, and that's locked into position then by this upper part. Basically, this has a sliding forward and back mechanism, as well as a little piece that the handle can tuck away into, and a sliding aspect that will cover it up. Next up then is the shield, which is all business up front and tons of cool detail round back. You build up this inner section first with these bladed parts onto the side like this, a handle at the bottom, and all that locks in with this panel, which takes a little bit of pushing to get it to attach. You then slide this big long segment up, a little bit of a rail aspect underneath what we just built. That then pops onto this girdered section inner mechanical part, which pops then into the outer red shell section, just like so. A little grey piece attaches into this cutaway part and is then covered up by the final piece of armor, which is this big white oval aspect. Last up in here then is the Gundam hammer. Now this has a lot of snipping and snapping to do here. Basically everything comes on this one little runner here besides the chain. You attach 2 pieces of the ball together to get the sphere. You have to cut out 9 of these little stud looking sections which attach all around the surface of the Gundam hammer. We've got this little bit of a chain attachment point which pops in from underneath, and then you have to work this little bit of a kind of split link, which is actually quite well designed. You just slot that round the hoop on the hammer and then onto the chain, which is made out of tons and tons and tons of actually chain links, or should I say actual plastic chain links. You do the exact same thing to the other side with the anchor on it, so you just kind of loop the independent chain link section around them, almost like a key ring. Finally, there is another couple of bits inside of the box. That is some holsters for the beam sabers. We've got 2 alternate hands which are a fixed pose. Both of these are exactly the same, left and right. And we do have 2 extremely skinny beam sabers. Oh, and of course, not to forget the main event inside of the box, the 1/100th scale cow. So there we go, the out-of-box build of the Master Grade Turn A Gundam. There's a whole lot of things you can actually say about this mobile suit right here in this Master Grade model kit right here, but one thing I'll definitely say is I am thoroughly impressed. This is a kit from almost 20 years ago. This came out in 2007 and it's done a lot of things here that even some modern Master Grades and other modern gunpla kits don't actually pull off. Color separated eyes, 99% color separation right out of box. The molding is really nice. It even has some nice gray sections coming from underneath the armor, which is something I've only really been seeing a lot in kits recently. Back in 2007, this must have been some unseen black magic technology. Of course, when it does come to the Turn A Gundam, the kind of thing that will draw your eye immediately is that over-the-top ridiculous head and those beautiful rear back of leg sections. All of those vent-like vein sections for the thrusters look like nothing else. They mesh together so well and it's been designed so nicely. The option of having the blue chest or the white Sid Mead original design chest is pretty cool. There's so much detail all over the place. This is definitely a kit that is begging for pan lining, but I will say be wary, because a lot of this kit, especially some aspects in the inner frame, as well as the light grey parts, are made out of ABS, which will split if you do use solvent-based panel liners directly on the plastic, so you do have to be careful here. Overall, looking great. I'm not sure exactly what to do with these decals that come inside of the box, but I guess I'll find out. Anyway, as always, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to come back for more gunpla builds and reviews, and I'll see you next time. It wouldn't be the end of the video without special thanks to each and every single one of you guys for watching my videos, and special thanks to the channel members and the members over on Patreon, including Caleb, Engelhart, Joe, RG59061, Scotty Thomas, Simon, and Van Fawn.